Hi, welcome to Hushed Stories. Tonight, you're on a sleeper train moving north through the Arctic, a blizzard running hard against the glass. Everything you need is already here. The window beside you is almost entirely black. Not the comfortable dark of countryside at night, not fields and distant farmhouse lights and hedgerows slipping quietly past, but something absolute and particular to this place. The blizzard has been running alongside the train for 3 hours now, and it has swallowed the landscape whole. What you can see in the narrow strip where the cabin light catches the glass is the snow itself, horizontal, fast, without pause, a continuous white blur that has turned the world outside into pure, undifferentiated motion. Somewhere behind all of it, the Arctic is doing what it always does. The tundra lying flat and low under a meter of new snow. The frozen rivers holding still, the birch forests muffled, the lakes locked in a silence that will last until April. You just cannot see any of it. The blizzard has closed the world down to the square meter of warm air around you, the lamp above the bunk, the amber light on pale birch paneling, and the steady, patient rhythm of the train moving north. Your cabin is small in the exact right way. The walls are paneled in pale birch, not varnished to a shine, but finished to bring out the grain, warm and understated, the kind of thing you notice without being meant to. Above the bunk, the reading lamp is mounted on an adjustable arm that someone has angled toward the fold-down table. And the circle of light it casts is small and precise and falls exactly where you need it. The table itself has been set with care. A white ceramic mug with a used tea bag resting in the saucer. You finished the tea an hour ago and haven't moved the mug. A small brass dish holding a single square of dark chocolate you haven't decided about yet, and a folded card giving the dining car hours in Norwegian, Swedish, and English, the Norwegian at the top. Along the window wall, just below the glass, a narrow shelf. Your tin of pencils sits there, and at the foot of the bunk, folded with precision at all 4 corners, a heavy wool blanket the color of charcoal, with a single cream stripe near the edge. You touched the blanket when you first came in, not long after Narvik, before the train had fully found its pace. You pressed your palm flat against it and felt the weight and density of it, the particular satisfying solidity of something made without compromise, wool woven tight enough to hold warmth against genuinely cold weather rather than just the idea of cold. You haven't unfolded it yet. You're not ready to sleep. The train has been moving since late afternoon, and you still feel the motion as something active, the slight sway that keeps the mind alert, the continuous percussion of the rails through the body of the carriage. Beside the bunk, your bag sits open on the narrow bench, sketchbook on top, the pencil tin already relocated to the table, a thermos of black coffee now 2/3 empty. Everything else you brought can wait until morning. On the floor, your boots sit neatly where you left them, still faintly damp along the seams from the platform at Narvik. The blizzard had already started by the time you boarded, and the walk from the station entrance to the train was long enough to matter. This journey has been a long time in the making. You came north specifically to draw winter landscapes at this latitude, where the light behaves differently from any light further south, where color retreats from the world for months, and what remains is form and tone and shadow, and the quality of a sky that has been dark since November. The sketchbook already holds 4 weeks of work. Studies from the Bergen docks, from a coastal ferry cutting through black water in driving rain, from a fishing village where you spent 3 days drawing the ice formations on the harbor rocks in temperatures your pencils didn't like. This train is the last leg. After this, south again, back to whatever ordinary life has been doing without you. But that is tomorrow's concern. Tonight you are still going north, still in it, and the blizzard is running, and the hour is not yet late. You open the sketchbook to the last page with anything on it, and look at what you managed before the light went. The frozen river delta outside Narvik, you got something of the shape of it, the way the channels spread apart and gathered again. The birch forest further along the line, the trees white on white against the snow, only their shadows giving them dimension. You caught that too, more or less. The lake is the problem. You came to it late, just as the gray winter light was going flat, and the blizzard was beginning to stack up on the western horizon. And you drew fast and got something down, but it is wrong in a way you cannot entirely identify. The shoreline feels approximately right. The surface of the lake is the trouble, the particular quality of light on frozen water, the way it is not quite white, but not gray either, the way it holds tone differently from open snow. Memory does the same thing the eye does, records the edges and loses the interior. You work from memory. The pencil moves in slow, careful strokes, and you shade the lake surface in long, parallel lines that you cross very lightly, trying to find the right tone. The left edge of the lake, where the reeds come in from the south, feels right once you reach it, something of the compressed texture of snow against dead vegetation. The far shore is still wrong. The shadows on the far shore aren't behaving the way they did in that specific late light. You try several approaches, none of them quite right. You make a small mark in the corner of the page, not a word, just a notation, and move your attention to the sky above the lake, which is easier. Flat gray darkening unevenly toward the upper, right where the storm was building. The horizon a simple dark bar. 2 full pages. The lake comes slowly and imperfectly, and you feel, as you often do when working from memory, that the thing you most want to capture is precisely the thing that refuses to hold still long enough to be held. You set the pencil down and look out the window. Nothing to see, just the blizzard, the rushing white, the dark beyond it absolute. But you look anyway, the way you always do when you've come to the end of something and haven't decided what's next. The train takes a long, slow curve, and the motion changes register briefly. The swaying, shifting angle, and then it straightens and the rhythm comes back exactly as it was. Somewhere out there, a frozen world is passing in the dark. The birch forests, the lake, places covered in new snow, going about their quiet business in the way empty, cold places do when there is no one in them to watch. You close the sketchbook. You feel, quite suddenly and straightforwardly, like eating something hot. The corridor is narrow, the carpet runner dark and slightly worn in the center, a brass handrail at hip height along one wall. You walk 2 carriages, one hand finding the wall at each long curve. The connecting section between cars is cold and abrupt, the metal joint, the acoustics changing from muffled to raw, the blizzard suddenly very present and close, the full sound of it through the gap, the carriage body working against the storm, and then the next door handle, the seal of warmth, and it closes behind you with a solid click, and the smell of the dining car reaches you immediately. Something deep and dark and long cooked, stock reduced to richness, the mineral sweetness of root vegetables that have been in heat for several hours, a thread of juniper underneath all of it. 5 tables occupied out of 8. You take one by the window without being shown, 2 chairs, 1 unnecessary. The window here gives you the same blizzard, but from this angle, with the dining car's amber overhead light reflected faintly in the glass. It looks entirely different. The snow rushing past catches the warm interior light and vanishes again, over and over, and for the first time all evening, the storm outside feels less like a wall and more like something the train is simply moving through, patiently, without complaint. A card on the table. Tonight's menu, the Norwegian at the top. 3 candles in small glass holders along the window ledge, their flames bent at a slight angle by the ventilation. straightening and bending, straightening and bending. The young attendant brings a rye roll and a cold dish of butter without being asked. He says something in Norwegian and then, reading your expression, switches easily. The stew tonight is reindeer. It's good. He says it the way someone says something that is simply true, without requiring agreement. You order it. It comes in a heavy white bowl with a lid, and when he lifts the lid table side, the steam rises straight up before bending in the ventilation draft, and the smell is extraordinary, juniper and thyme, and the particular deep richness of dark meat, braised very slowly over a long time. Something bright underneath that turns out to be the lingonberry preserve, set in a small spoonful at the side of the bowl. You eat the rye bread first, with the butter cold enough to stay firm when spread thin. The bread is dense and slightly sour, and the combination of the two is very good in the way that simple things are when you are genuinely hungry and have been so, without entirely noticing it. The stew is thick and dark. The reindeer comes apart at the touch of a spoon, the muscle fully broken down, the broth dark and glossy and clinging. The small dark carrots are sweet and soft. The turnip has taken on the flavor of the broth completely. The lingonberry preserve is tart and bright against all of it, and you eat small amounts of it with each spoonful rather than saving it for the end. At the far table, two people are speaking quietly in Finnish, neither looking at the other, both looking out at the blizzard. A child 2 tables away is asleep against her mother's arm, tipped sideways, one hand still loosely holding a bread roll she didn't finish. The attendant moves between kitchen and floor, unhurried, refilling water glasses without asking. You finish the stew and the bread, and sit for a while with a small glass of cloudberry liqueur you hadn't planned to order. It is amber and slightly syrupy and tastes like something between a ripe fruit and an old summer, and you hold the glass for several minutes before you drink the last of it. You pay and step back into the corridor. The first sleeper carriage. The connecting section, the brief cold and roar of it. The second sleeper, heading for your cabin. You've nearly reached it when you notice the door at the far end of the carriage. Heavier than the others, a small laminated card above the handle in 3 languages. Observation Saloon. You've passed it twice today without registering it. You register it now, and you turn back and go toward it instead. The observation car is empty except for one person. It runs nearly the full width of the carriage, bench seats cushioned in dark green fabric along both walls, and above them, curving glass. An arched ceiling of windows following the entire roofline of the car, the glass meeting at the apex, the sky on all sides, or what would be the sky if there were sky to see. Right now, it is all blizzard from every direction. Snow rushing over and across the curved glass above your head. The effect of it strange. You are inside a moving thing with the storm streaming over you. And the train sounds different here, more exposed. The rhythm of the wheels roar through the floor. You sit down on the bench and look up. The man at the far end is older, perhaps 65, perhaps more, in a thick navy sweater, both hands around a small white cup. He glanced over when you entered and gave a single nod. Now he looks up through the glass. You sit down and look up too. For perhaps 5 minutes, nothing changes. The blizzard runs across the glass above your head in long horizontal streaks. The train moves. The observation car creaks softly around you. The snow on the curved glass makes a fine, continuous hiss, almost like static. That is different from any sound in the rest of the train. Then the clouds break. Not all of them, just a section, a gap opening somewhere above the storm, and through it, through the rushing snow, the sky appears. Ink black and vast and scattered with stars beyond counting. Not the suggestion of stars, but the actual thing, the Milky Way not as a smear but as a structure, each light distinct and separate, the whole of it blazing. And then at the far edge of the gap, moving, green. A slow, curtained sweep of green light, silent and enormous, folding and unfolding against the black. The aurora moves across the gap in the clouds, folding south, then back, opening wide, contracting, and neither of you speaks and neither of you looks away. It lasts perhaps 45 seconds. The clouds shift and the gap narrows, and the aurora is still there, but compressed now into a bright bar along the northern horizon. And then the clouds close entirely, and the blizzard takes the sky back, and the glass above your head is dark again. The old man says quietly, without looking away from the glass, 40 years on this route still does that to me. He takes a sip from his cup. You sit in the observation car for a few minutes longer, looking up at the dark glass and the snow streaming across it. Then you get up and walk back through the carriage toward your cabin. Your cabin again. Someone has been while you were gone, and they have been thoughtful. The bunk is turned down, the sheet folded back over the blanket in a precise diagonal at the pillow end, the pillow scented and settled. The reading lamp has been re-angled, its circle of light moved from the table to the pillow, lower and softer than before. The ceramic mug has been cleared. In its place on the fold-down table, a small dark green thermos with a screw cap, compact and neat, and beside it, a folded card. On the card, someone has drawn a small pine sprig in the upper corner. Just a few economical lines, genuinely well done, and beneath it, in small, careful handwriting, chamomile. Good night. You sit down on the edge of the bunk. You unscrew the cap and pour a small amount and hold it in both hands. The chamomile is light and clean and smells of dried flowers, and something sweet underneath, honey, or the proximity of it. And it is exactly the right temperature. Warm without being hot, the temperature of something that has been sitting correctly for the right amount of time. You drink it slowly. Outside, the blizzard continues without any sign of stopping. Snow coming horizontal against the glass, the dark beyond it absolute, the world beneath the train buried and perfectly still. The frozen river delta you drew this afternoon. The lake with its surface that still isn't right. The birch forests threading between the ridges. All of it out there in the dark, covered, continuing without you. You think about the aurora. 45 seconds, perhaps. The way it moved, not fast, not slow, some middle pace that had no name, folding south and back, opening wide. The old man's cup in both hands. The way he didn't look at you, didn't need anything from you, just said the true thing and went back to watching. You've been on trains with strangers for most of your adult life, and that was one of the better moments. You think about the lake, the shadows on the far shore that still aren't right in the sketchbook. You'll try again tomorrow, when the memory has had a night to settle. Sometimes that is what is needed, not more time looking, but a night's distance before the true impression can surface. You put the thermos cap back on. You set your boots by the door and lie back and pull the blanket up over you. The weight of it settles across your chest and legs, certain, solid, exactly as heavy as you knew it would be from touching it earlier. Heavier even, the way things are when you are lying still, and the weight has nowhere to go but down. You reach up and switch off the reading lamp. The window gives a faint gray light, the blizzard, lit from somewhere far above, and the pale birch panels hold the barest outline of themselves in the dark. The train moves beneath you. The same note, the same interval, without variation. The sound of the rails comes up through the mattress, through the frame of the bunk, not heard so much as felt. The whole structure of the carriage conducting its own pulse upward into you. You stop tracking it. It simply continues. The thermos on the table, the pine sprig on the card, the child in the dining car, asleep against her mother with the bread roll still in her hand. The old man and his cup. 40 years. The aurora folding against the black, enormous and unhurried, indifferent to everything beneath it. The train takes a long, slow curve. You feel it through the bunk, the angle shifting very slightly, and then it straightens, and the rhythm resumes exactly as it was. Outside, the blizzard hasn't changed. It won't change for hours. Maybe it will still be running when you wake, and the landscape will still be invisible, and you will lie here for a while listening to the same rhythm before you open the sketchbook. That seems fine. You have everything you need to work from. The lake is in the sketchbook. It isn't right yet. It doesn't need to be right yet. Cinematograph hold. The snow finds the same path across the glass it has been traveling all night, left to right, horizontal, rushing. And at the right edge of the pane it gathers briefly, a thickening of white against the frame before it vanishes past and is gone. Then it begins again from the left, the same path, the same brief gathering at the edge, the same disappearance into the dark beyond. The lamp is off. The blizzard light through the glass is very faint now. You are not watching anything in particular. You are simply here. The chamomile, the pine sprig, someone's careful handwriting. The weight of the blanket across you, the rhythm beneath you, the blizzard that will not stop. Cinematograph hold. The snow runs across the glass. Left to right, the brief gathering at the right edge of the pane, the pause of it, and then it is gone, and then it begins again from the left. The same path, the same pause, the same dark beyond it that has not changed and will not change. The train moves through it, steady, north. You are warm. You are already almost gone. And for tonight, so is everything else.